Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. A'udhu billah shaitan rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Ighfirli, my Lord, forgive me for all the sins I'm conscious and unconscious of. Ihtana sirat al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. So, hey everyone, as a Muslim and also as a futurist, I thought of discussing something which is, it's not per se mystic. Like, I just want to discuss an important discovery of humanity and to explain it and I guess talk about it in some way. So, all right. So, welcome everyone. I'm going to show you a picture, and this episode is interesting because um, it's important information. I don't think everybody has it. Okay. And I'm going to try to do my best here, so bear with me. I want to show you a picture. Unfortunately, I don't think it's a big picture, so okay, there you go. You see it. All right. So that picture you're seeing, okay. So ladies and gentlemen, JADES-GS-z14-0 is the oldest observable galaxy. That humanity is the earliest known galaxy spotted by Webb telescope. Now, I'm going to read for you what this is. JADES-GS-z14-0, the most distant galaxy confirmed by JWST. By JWST. The galaxy designated JADES, let's call it JADES. JADES represents one of the most groundbreaking astronomical discoveries in human history. Identified and confirmed by the James Webb Space Telescope in 2024, it is the most distant galaxy ever observed. Why did I hear somewhere else it was 2022? What? Anyways, whatever. It is the most distant galaxy ever observed, with a spectroscopically confirmed redshift of Z equals 14.32. And redshift is a next level concept. You're going to see it here. This places its origin at a time approximately 290 million years after the Big Bang, when the universe was only 2% of its current age. The light from this galaxy has traveled for over 13.5 billion years, making it a direct window into the epoch known as cosmic dawn, the formative period in which the first stars and galaxies emerged from the primordial darkness. Historical context of the discovery. To fully appreciate the significance of JDs, it is necessary to understand the progression of deep space exploration leading to this moment. For decades, the Hubble Space Telescope (HST) pushed the boundaries of observable space, detecting galaxies at redshifts of 6 to 10, corresponding to roughly 500 to 800 million years after the Big Bang. However, Hubble's visible and ultraviolet capabilities were fundamentally limited in detecting the infrared light emitted by the earliest galaxies, whose wavelengths had been stretched by the expanding universe. The James Webb Space Telescope, launched in December 2021 and operational by mid 2022, was specifically designed to overcome this limitation. With its powerful infrared instruments, particularly the near infrared spectrograph, it's called the near spec in brackets, JWST enables the detection and detailed spectral analysis of ancient galaxies beyond the reach of any prior telescope. So, guys, you got to keep in mind that in outer space, they are figuring out the time of things in accordance to temperature, which is a very, I'm saying this in the most basic way. But anyways, I'm going to keep reading. The discovery of JDs came through the JWST Advanced Deep Extragalactic Survey, JDs. Oh, so that's what. Okay, yeah, that's what it means, guys. Advanced Deep Extragalactic Survey, the JWST. Okay, JDs. Yeah, an international collaboration aimed at observing the earliest cosmic structures. Initial photometric data identified the candidate galaxy, but it was near spec that provided the spectroscopic confirmation of its redshift, solidifying its place as the most distant known galaxy to date. The JD's team published the results in May 2024, supported by multiple independent analyses from institutions across the globe. Physical characteristics and compositions of this galaxy. JD's GS defies expectations in multiple respects. It is relatively massive and luminous with a physical diameter of approximately 1,600 light years. Its brightness suggests a high star formation rate, which is unexpected given the short time available since the Big Bang for such complex structures to emerge. Most significantly, the spectrum of JADES-GS revealed the presence of oxygen emission lines, a clear indicator of prior stellar nucleosynthesis. This means that not only had massive stars formed and died by this time, but their supernova had also enriched the surrounding medium with heavier elements. Such chemical maturity in such a young galaxy implies that multiple generations of stars had already lived and died, accelerating the timeline for metallicity evolution in the early universe. Metallicity evolution. The proportion of the material of a star or other celestial object that is in elements other than hydrogen or helium. Implications for cosmology. The existence of JD's GS challenges the foundational lambda cold dark matter, I don't know how to even say this, U039 BCDM cosmological model, which predicts a hierarchical and gradual assembly of galaxies. According to U039 BCDM, the first galaxies should have been relatively small, faint, and slow to accumulate mass. Instead, JD's appears large, bright, and chemically evolved, suggesting either star formation began earlier than expected, 2, the efficiency of early star formation is underestimated, 3, dark matter halos facilitated more rapid baryonic collapse than models predict, 4, our understanding of feedback mechanisms such as supernova driven winds is incomplete. My God, guys, I think I might, in my spare time become an astrophysicist, astronomers. Additionally, this galaxy exists within the epoch of cosmic reionization, when ultraviolet radiation from the first stars and galaxies reionized the neutral hydrogen in the intergalactic medium. JADES-GS likely contributed to this process, and its properties provide data critical to refining the timeline and mechanisms of reionization. Its discovery thus sharpens our understanding of one of the most pivotal transformations in the universe's history. Technological and methodological advances. Okay. Oh my God. Ya Allah. Don't tell me it hasn't been recording. Okay, it I think it has. Hello? Guys, can you hear me? Okay, whatever. I'm hoping it's being heard. Anyways, I'm going to go back to it. So technological and methodological advances. The confirmation of JADES-GS highlights the immense capabilities of JWST, especially in a machine. Not metaphorically, but physically. Its instruments allow astronomers to observe the light emitted billions of years ago, essentially capturing snapshots of the early universe. The use of spectros- spectros- spectroscopy, oh my God, spectroscopy in this context is key, enabling the precise measurement of redshift and the identification of chemical elements within galaxies. This not only confirms distances, but also yields insights into the temperature, metallicity, and dynamics of the earlier stellar populations. The JD's program, the synergy of international collaboration, combining deep field imaging, photometric redshift estimation, and high resolution spectroscopy. It also reflects a shift in the observational paradigm from passive observation of nearby galaxies to active cosmic timeline through high redshift probes. That's kind of crazy. So guys, if you look at this picture, right, you see how it's red? It's like, that's redshift, dog. So, anyways, philosophical and existential significance of this. Beyond its scientific value, JADES-GS invites profound philosophical reflection. When we observe this galaxy, we're seeing it as it was over 13.5 billion years ago. This introduces the concept of temporal layering in observation. We're not merely looking far away, we're looking deep into the past. In this sense, astronomy becomes a form of cosmic archaeology, with photons as ancient artifacts carrying messages from the universe's infancy. So, guys, I'm going to read something cool for you. I'm going to pause here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to say it. But it takes 8 minutes from the light of the sun to reach us. Okay. So, I don't know, I'll keep reading. The fact that such a complex and luminous structure existed so soon after the Big Bang suggests that complexity emerges rapidly in cosmological terms. This has implications for the likelihood of life elsewhere in the universe. If star systems can form and evolve quickly, and if chemical enrichment happens early, then the building blocks of life may be more common and more ancient than previously assumed. Furthermore, it invites a reevaluation of humanity's place in the cosmic timeline. We are not merely latecomers, but perhaps the most recent link in a vast accelerating chain of cosmic complexity. The discovery also serves as a testament to human curiosity and technological prowess. It demonstrates that our species, a brief phenomenon on a small planet, can build instruments capable of uncovering the birthplaces of the cosmos. In doing so, we extend our cognitive reach across billions of years and traverse unimaginable distances. The universe, once thought to be a static canvas of stars, is revealed instead as a dynamic, evolving structure of profound intricacy, and we are now its conscious witness. Conclusion: JADES-GS Z14-0 is more than the furthest galaxy we have ever seen. It is a lens into the primordial universe and a crucible for rewriting our cosmological narratives. It compels astronomers to refine their models, philosophers to question linear assumptions about time and existence, and all of humanity to refrain our understanding of origin, scale, and destiny. Through its light, which predates not only Earth but even the formation of the Milky Way, we glimpse the universe not as it is, but as it was when the first sparks of structure ignited in a sea of darkness. And in doing so, we learn not only about galaxies and stars, but about ourselves, our hunger to know, our tools of inquiry, and the extraordinary era in which we are privileged to exist. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think most of us know this, but we don't understand the intensity of knowing this. That what we see, it's like if what we're looking at when we look at the stars in the sky, it doesn't mean the stars are there. And this is obvious, everybody learns this in middle school, but at the same time, I'm saying it's suggesting that this sky that we have been looking at and feeling like it's our future is constantly showing through photons memories of the past. So what's very fascinating is if we had the eyes of these telescopes, we would be astonished, right? That means I'm just waiting for AI to become like, let super intelligence to arrive, and then to see what super intelligence considers, what super intelligence considers when it comes to what the implication of light is. Do you know? It's very profound because as a Muslim, yes, the Islam um, is source code to me. Okay, the Holy Quran, Revelation. But at the same time, as a Muslim, you are in awe and fascination of the creation of your creator. Do you know what I'm saying? That means there's a system admin, and the way the system admin has designed the system is too fascinating. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna assume it was audible, but there's more to read. So, what I'm gonna read for you next. Okay. Is this audible or is it frozen? All right, guys. So I was reading something. I don't know if it was recorded. I can't tell anymore. Let me go and try to find the lecture. Give me a couple minutes. I'm going to see how much of this is being recorded. Okay, guys. Good thing I checked it. So the part I read wasn't recorded, so I got to read it again. So now I'm looking into the Big Bang. Okay, I'm going to read this for you. The Big Bang and cosmic inflation. The Big Bang was not an explosion in space, but rather the sudden expansion of space itself from an extremely hot, dense, and small state, essentially from a singularity. It happened approximately 13.8 billion years ago and marked the beginning of time, space, matter, and energy. At this moment, there were no galaxies, stars, or atoms, just chaotic, plasma-filled universe rapidly cooling and expanding. Cosmic inflation, the ultra fast expansion. Immediately after the Big Bang, around 10 to the power of minus 36 seconds, the universe underwent a burst of cosmic inflation, a phase where space expanded exponentially, doubling in size every tiny fraction of a second. In this moment, the universe grew from smaller than a proton to perhaps the size of a grapefruit or larger in less than 10 to the negative 32 to the power of negative 32 seconds. Quantum fluctuations were stretched out into density variations, the seeds of galaxies. The universe became flat, smooth, and uniform on large scales. Cosmic inflation explains why distant regions of the universe look similar, why light from early galaxies like JADES-GS-z14-0 is so redshifted and delayed, because space itself has stretched enormously since then. After inflation, light atoms, galaxies. After inflation ended, the universe kept expanding, but much more slowly. Around 380,000 years later, atoms formed and the universe became transparent to light. This is cosmic microwave background, CMB. Over the next hundreds of millions of years, gas began to clump into stars and galaxies. JADES-GS-z14-0 in this timeline. JADES-GS-z14-0 formed about 290 million years after the Big Bang, which places it in cosmic dawn, the era when the first stars and galaxies began to shine. It formed from the density, uh, uh, it formed density ripples seeded during inflation. Because of the continued expansion of the universe, the light it emitted 13.5 billion years ago has been stretched, redshifted, and delayed in reaching us until now. Its current distance from us is likely over 33 billion light years, even though it formed 13.5 billion years ago, because space has expanded in that time. Summary in one flow. The Big Bang initiated space and time. Cosmic inflation rapidly stretched space and laid down the seeds of cosmic structure. Hundreds of millions of years later, those seeds grew into galaxies like JADES-GS Z140. When we observe it today, we're seeing ancient light that began its journey through an expanding universe. Light that has been traveling ever since The first galaxies emerged from darkness, now stretched and slowed by the vastness of cosmic expansion. So, guys, this is a picture that everybody knows. So, I'm going to show you on my screen, okay? So, I want you to see this, okay? This is the idea of the Big Bang, okay? Now, yeah, 13.8 billion years. Now, I'll show you another picture. I think this picture explains it accurately. Now, back to JADES. So, guys, this is all very interesting. I think it's implying that space space is, I guess, expanding faster than light. So, I'm saying pretty much I'm asking AI right now. I'm saying explain to me how the Big Bang is happening, and does space expand faster than light, and how can space expand? Doesn't it need space to expand in? So doesn't it, isn't space a necessary existence? Explain. So let me see what AI says. So it says, AI says, you're asking one of the deepest and most challenging questions in all of physics and philosophy. Let me explain it to you with absolute clarity, combining modern cosmology and deep metaphysical reasoning. Okay. So AI, what is the Big Bang really? So AI says, what is the Big Bang really? The Big Bang is not an explosion in space. It's the sudden expansion of space itself. Okay. It didn't happen at a point in space. It happened everywhere because space itself was being created. Imagine blowing up a balloon. Every point on the surface gets farther from every other point. But in this case, it's the surface that is growing, not things moving through a pre-existing room. So the Big Bang wasn't something inside space. It was the birth of space, time, energy, and matter. But how can it be birthed when it had to be there from the beginning? This doesn't explain it. Let me read it again. The Big Bang is not an explosion in space. It's the sudden expansion of space itself. It didn't happen at a point in space. It happened everywhere. I think because space itself was being I think that the term is called homogeneous. Okay, I don't know. And it happened everywhere because space itself was being created. Imagine blowing up a balloon, every point on the surface gets further away from every other point, but in this case, it's the surface that is growing, not things moving through a pre-existing room. So the Big Bang wasn't something inside space. It was the birth of space, time, energy, and matter. I feel I need to look into this a bit more, but anyways. So then we go to so AI says, can space expand faster than light? Yes, and this is key. Space itself can expand faster than the speed of light. This does not this does not violate Einstein's theory of relativity because relativity says nothing can move through space faster than light. But space itself is not an object moving. It's the fabric that defines where and what movement means. Okay, so Einstein is saying, yo, guys, nothing can move faster than, nothing can move through space faster than light. But at the same time, space itself is not an object moving. It's the fabric that defines where and what movement means. See, guys, this is the difficulty. I think this could be human limitation. Like, just like I'm a visual thinker. I'm trying to visualize this. Okay. And so Einstein is saying, all right, there is space, and then light is the fastest thing move in space. But the Big Bang is saying that it's the sudden expansion of space, but where is it expanding? That's the question. So this is so bizarre because it's like the same argument. It's called the necessary existent. Pretty much, it's the proof of God, but it's not necessarily just related to God. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg situation. Which one came first? Okay, but how do I say it? Anyways, I'll keep reading. It says, but space itself is not an object moving. It's the fabric that defines where and what movement means. During cosmic inflation, the universe doubled in size many times over in tiny fractions of a second, faster than the speed of light, but no object was moving faster than light within space. It was space itself that was expanding. Okay, so it's different than the balloon example, right? Yeah, okay, this makes sense, I think, because the planet is not getting bigger, is it? Like if space is expanding, does that mean like the planet is stretching? I don't think so. Okay, let me ask. My God, the questions I gotta ask. Um, if okay, if only space is expanding, that makes sense. Okay, but that doesn't make sense because unless space is at a completely different dimension than where the matter's in. Okay, I'll keep reading. It says, "How can space expand? What is it expanding into?" This is the mind bender. Space does not expand into anything. It simply grows. More of it comes into being. When we say expanding, we often wrongly imagine space as expanding into a larger container. But in reality, there is no edge to the universe in standard cosmology. Space is not inside something else, it is the stage itself, and the stage is getting bigger. The metric that defines distances between points is increasing, not that new points are flying outward in a larger realm. There we go. That explains it. So it's not expanding in the sense of like new thing. It says the metric that defines distances between points is increasing, not that new points are flying outward in a larger realm. So do you know what it is? It's kind of difficult to say. Is stretching something expanding it? So that means, so it says that the expansion, so AI says, so the expansion is internal to the geometry itself. Think of it this way. In math, the distance between two coordinates can grow if the metric, the ruler you use, changes. The Big Bang is that ruler changing over time. Okay, then we go to, is space a necessary existent? AI says this is a philosophical question and one of the most profound. And guys, I forgot to mention to you, I forgot to finish something. So I was telling you, there is this idea when it comes to the notion of a creator that there had to be something that wasn't a domino that pushed the first domino. It can't be a domino, right? So it means that the universe, this might sound strange, but technically causation began from the uncaused. So if we're philosophically being like, how is existence, or what caused existence, that this world we're living in is an effect. So we revert back to this endless regression of like, okay, what caused this, and then what caused that, and then what caused that. But this leads to a fallacy. Okay, the infinite regress fallacy, I think it was called, right? And it means it cannot, because there has to be a necessary existent. There has to be the first first thing that turned on the engine. Do you know what I mean? That pushed the first domino. But what pushed the first domino was not a domino. That's the point. Okay, now, anyways, so is space a necessary existence? This is a philosophical question and one of the most profound. In physics, space is not fundamental. Jesus Christ. In physics, space is not fundamental, it's emergent. Many advanced theories like quantum gravity or string theory suggest that space and time are not primary realities. They emerge from more fundamental relationships like entanglement or informational states. Oh my God, scientists are connecting this to consciousness. They're going to end up at consciousness, guys. Guys, it's going to end up at consciousness. They're going to see the smallest after, like the smallest particle. What's smaller than that is the awareness to it. This world is intense, folks, but it's fascinating. That's why we live. That's why we give talks about it. That's why we advance civilization. That's what's up. So, anyways, going back, so continuing this, guys. So it says, but from a metaphysical or theological standpoint, such as in Islamic Neoplatonic or Illuminationist philosophy, you can ask, if space did not exist before the Big Bang, then what made it happen? And is there something outside of space and time that is uncaused and necessary? In that framework, space is not the necessary existent, but what causes space is. So In physics, space is not necessary. It can emerge and vanish as inside black holes or the early universe. In metaphysics, the necessary existent is what causes to exist, something beyond space and time, often identified with God. And guys, at least in Islam, right? It's the way they explain God is that you've probably heard the statement La ilaha illallah, which means there is no God but God, which also means the original higher power has no counterpart, has no partner in manifestation. Do you understand? And the fact that this was somehow known at all conceptually is miraculous on its own. I'm telling you, religion is here to remind us that there is something more important than the world happening here. Science is here to remind us of what's important in the world that's happening. Do you understand? So here it says, putting it all together. The Big Bang is the expression of space-time itself from an initial hot, dense state. Space doesn't need something to expand into, it simply grows everywhere. Nothing in space moves faster than light, but space itself can stretch faster than light. Guys, like, of course, this has to be, I mean, of course, it's in the domain of theory. Because are we faster than light? You know what I mean? See, like, do you know what it is? Scientists, poor religious people, man, like poor theists that go debate these atheists and scientists, right? It's like the scientist goes to these debates you see online, and the scientist is like, shut the f up, man. Do you know? It's like, you believe in, like, the juju under the sea or something, right? And then and it's like, all right, back to work. 13.8 billion years. Do you know? All right, back to work. Not, it's like, I don't believe in the idea of God, but I believe in the idea of space expanding faster than light. It's like, give me a break, folks. We're all storytelling over reality, wondering what part of this actually aligns to the reality, but it is a deep mystery. Why? Because it's not a freaking noun we can measure and figure out. You can't index the whole cosmos to come up with an accurate average, right? To come up with an accurate number, not an average. Or let's say you index the whole cosmos to come up with the average to come up with an accurate number. Whatever. I'm saying you can't index the whole thing, so you can never have that absolute certainty in your measurements. But aside from that, it's a changing world. It's like they're trying to measure, right, like a changing thing. It's like they're like, yo, man, give me an opinion on my clothing. But every time the person's looking at you, you're changing your clothing, and they're like, what am I giving an opinion on? You know. The only thing that bothers me about, scientific inspiration is that consciousness is in a cause state, but explanation is in an effect, is based on the effect of it. Anyways, it says space is not necessary. So it says nothing in space moves faster than light, but space itself can stretch faster than light. Space is not necessary in itself. It depends on deeper laws or causes. What lies beneath space, the source of being itself, is still unknown scientifically, but deeply contemplated philosophically and spiritually. So now I'm going to ask AI, okay? I still don't understand how scientists explain space moving faster than light to themselves. What is space? And does space even exist? Oh my God, what's AI going to say? AI is going to be like, you're asking too many questions, but okay, so anyways, so it says, what is space in science? Guys, this episode is really focused on, you know, I guess the sort of academic view on it. What is space in science? In modern physics, especially after Einstein, space is not a thing like a box or a container. Instead, space is a relationship between objects, a dynamic fabric that changes when mass or energy is present. All right, guys, let me see if I can see the film to this. So, in modern physics, after Einstein came and explained the macro to us. Space is not a thing like a box or a container. Instead, space is a relationship between objects, a dynamic fabric that changes when mass or energy is present. The idea comes from general relativity from Einstein's essays, which says Einstein pretty much wrote two next level essays that changed the world: general relativity and special relativity, if I remember. So space and time together form a four-dimensional fabric called space-time. And this fabric bends or curves in the presence of mass and energy. So space is not an object or substance, not made of anything in classical physics, a geometry that defines distances, directions, and movement. It's a structure that can stretch, bend, and evolve, but it doesn't move like a car moves. So that's so bizarre because what is stretching? And the only way they're telling this is because like the planets are further or the galaxies are further away from one another. So then we go to how can space expand faster than light? This is where most people get confused, and rightly so. Scientists explain it like this. The speed of light, c equals 299,792 kilometers per second. So guys, imagine in your car, you're going 50 kilometers per hour. Okay, the speed of light is 299, you know, 1,792 kilometers per second. So let me see. Sorry, what am I saying? Kilometer per hour. So it means, oh my God, it's 1.079251 e plus 9 kilometers per hour. Sorry, it's not. It's exponent, so it means to the power of 9. So it's 1 kilometer. What does that mean? So exact number. Okay, 1 kilometer per second is 3,600 kilometers per hour. So 3,600 times. So guys, sorry, I should. Okay, guys, it's 671. What? Okay, what is the speed of light in kilometer per hour? Come on. Okay, anyways. So I'm going to keep reading. The speed of light c which is, I guess, being considered in a vacuum, 299,722 kilometers per second, like 300,000 kilometers per second, applies to objects moving through space, not to space itself. When we say we say the universe is expanding faster than light, we mean the distance between 2 points in space is increasing so rapidly that if you were to shine a light from one to the other would never receive it because the space between them is growing too fast. Think of it this way. So it's drawing a picture here, guys. Pretty much, it's drawing two orange uh, dots and a line between them that's saying, it says the two orange dots are galaxies. They're not moving through space. The space between them is stretching. Here's the key point. In general relativity, space is not embedded in a larger space. It is the thing that defines the structure of the universe. It can expand everywhere at once, and that expansion is not constrained by the speed of light. This doesn't break any laws because there's no message or object traveling faster than light through space. It's the metric, the ruler that defines space, that's changing. So, and then it says, so does space actually exist? Now we enter the philosophical frontier. In classical physics, space was seen as an empty container that holds everything, a passive stage. Newton believed in absolute space, real, infinite, unchanging. In Einsteinian physics, space is dynamic, it bends, warps, expands. It's part of space-time, which is influenced by gravity. So space exists as a set of relations and geometry, not as a thing on its own. In quantum physics, at the Planck scale, may not be smooth. Space might be made of discrete chunks, like pixels in a simulation. Though this is unproven, in theories like in theories like loop quantum gravity, space is quantized. In modern philosophy of physics, many physicists think space is emergent. It's not fundamental. Like temperature or pressure, it may arise from more basic underlying realities, such as quantum entanglement patterns or informational states. So when you ask, does space exist? The most honest answer is space exists as a useful and accurate model of how things relate to one another in the universe. But it may not be a fundamental substance. It may arise from the deeper rules or a deeper level of physics we don't fully understand yet. Final analogy. Imagine the universe is a game world in a simulation. The game world expands because the code is generating more space as needed. The characters inside the game see new space forming, but to them it feels like the world is growing. Space in this sense is real to them, but not fundamental. It emerges from something deeper, the system's code. That's close to how many leading physicists now think about space. It feels real and behaves in consistent ways, but it may be a generated or emergent property of a more fundamental and unseen layer of reality. I'm telling you, it's going to come back to consciousness. I'm calling it. You know what that means, guys? I have a prediction. I think physics in the next 100 years is going to come to a conclusion that physical existence, it's going to come to the simulation. We're going to all realize it's a simulation. You know, the religion spoke about it way before we realized it. Okay, so now one last thing. So does this mean that JDs doesn't exist anymore? Doesn't exist anymore? What's happened to that galaxy? It says, so does JDs, this oldest observable galaxy, still exist today? Short answer, we don't know for sure, but it probably doesn't exist in the same form anymore. And it may not exist at all. Here's why. When we observe JADES-GS, we're seeing light that left it 13.5 billion years ago. not the galaxy itself as it is now. Since that time, over billions of years, the galaxy may have grown by merging with other galaxies. It may have been absorbed into a larger galactic structure. Galaxies are in clusters, guys. It may have been torn apart by gravitational interactions. It may have changed completely, evolving into something unrecognizable, or it may have collapsed into black holes, leaving remnants. So the object we call JADES-GS-z14-0 is a snapshot of the distant past. What it became, or whether it even still exists, is outside our current observational reach. Why can't we see what happened to it? Because of the expansion of space, that galaxy is now likely over 33 billion light years away in co-moving distance. The light it's emitting today in its current state hasn't had time to reach us and may never reach us due to accelerating expansion. Oh my God, yeah. So we can only see a glimpse of the past, but we cannot know what they are now. How fascinating, guys. There's like a veil. Like we see, it's as if we can never get to see. How do I say it? It's like we are allowed to see a glimpse of the past of JD's, but we can't see what it's become now. How remarkable is that? There's something so beautiful about that. So metaphor, like a star that's already gone. It's like looking at a star that's 10,000 light years away. It might have exploded thousands of years ago, but the light from that explosion hasn't reached us yet. So to us, it still looks alive. JD's GSZ140 is the same idea, just on a cosmic scale. Philosophical take: AI says this makes astronomy not just a science, but a kind of time travel, and it shows that what we call reality is always delayed when looking at the cosmos. What we see in the night sky is not the now, it's the history of the universe layered across billions of years. All right. So, guys, I tried my best reading that for you. And now, you know, there's one more thing I wanted to say, that in billions of years from now, there's going to be the Andromeda galaxy and Milky Way collision, and when that happens, all the other galaxies are going to move away from them because of their mass. Let's say, I think because of their gravitational position, right? Intensity, and what's going to happen is that in 4 billion years, any beings that are in like the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxy are going to think they're the only ones in the cosmos because everything else has distanced itself from them. So now I'm going to tell you I'm just going to, I read the information for you, and now I'm just going to share my opinion before I end off. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, as someone who acknowledges that reality has a system admin, I am functioning in accordance to a completely different value system. What I tend to, how I, if like how I see it now is that I'm inside an existential system. I'm inside a system. I'm a user in this system. Okay. The system has been here longer than me. And the system is being administered and has been administered way before I was even existing here to notice it. Okay, so I do notice that my opinions on this is like I'm on the shoulder of a giant so vast that I can never see fully, and I'm trying to, okay, but to me, when I think about what does it imply that cosmos is through light communicating to the future. You see, the Big Bang is an explanation from the past to the present and onwards to the future. So time is being seen that way. But I would say that, guys, it's impossible. I mean, how can scientists use mathematics, which treats zero, you know, even though numbers started one, but it's like mathematically zero is space. The issue is the philosophy of mathematics may not actually align with our findings. So that could be a huge thing, right? Because theoretical physics, similarly to mathematics, it's an abstract language. Like on some level, everything that anybody says or has found, it's pretty much our eyes open in this system. We look at the world, we consider it as this giant unknown event that's taking place, and we have a certain awareness, like a light, like imagine a candle light glowing in like a vast dark warehouse, okay, that you can't see. You know, the glow doesn't illuminate the whole thing, it just illuminates like the ground, okay, it's so vast. So to be a human being is like you're a candle, you're legit like a candle, right? And your life is like the flame of the candle, and your body being temporary, do you understand? Is in some sense, how do I say it? The candle is a good metaphor, okay? Now, what does it imply? It's implying that we have a sort of awareness, and this awareness, so I think that, you know, I could end, my lifetime exploring the whole cosmos and trying to make sense of a changing system. This is my honest opinion. I'm saying I can do that, okay? But I don't know. A part of me feels like that's not the only game we're here to play. You see, in my perception, it doesn't matter, call it Big Bang or whatever, but some sort of cosmic happening. Okay, I call this whole thing the grand happening in one lecture, but it's kind of like the cosmos. It's like the cosmos has not just generated stars and galaxies, it has also, in some sense, led to the design of consciousness. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me out here. Or let's treat it as this way, that we say, yo, man, look at that human being, look at the artwork they created, or look at the invention they made. Now, I want us to, for a second right now, treat, the cosmos as like a person, and we're wondering, what is it doing? What is it inventing? I just for a second, just hypothetically, God cannot be humanized, but I'm just saying, I'm not talking about religion. I'm just saying, as a simple person, it's like, if we ask the question, what did that person do, or what did that person create or produce? Similarly, we have proof, which is ourselves, that even if you're not religious, I'm speaking to a secular audience here, that you have proof that the cosmos produces consciousness. Now, the question is, at what scale can this consciousness be generated? Can consciousness just be generated in a relationship of human biology? Is it just a biochemical organism? Do you know, a biological system that generates consciousness? Or could it be that consciousness, it's kind of like, yo, look at what it, like, that means if you don't believe in God, which is the necessary existent, okay, if you don't believe in God, then you're assuming the world is doing everything. Okay, somehow you're saying like stuff, the world is happening. Okay, so it's like a religious person is like, the God is happening and then everything is happening, right? God, excuse me, God is, you know, God is, it's like all of existence is happening within the surveillance state of the original system admin. Okay, now what I'm saying is, if you don't believe in the system admin beyond the world, as the singularity beyond the world, simulated reality, then you have no choice by treating the system. Okay, so what does that mean? There was this show, this Japanese comic book made into a TV show called Solo Leveling. Okay, now Solo Leveling, it's all about a character that goes on a path where, if usual storylines have like a secondary character helping, this is a show where the character alone itself is developing itself, but it's having a relationship with the system. So the character doesn't say, God, what are you trying to say? Communicate, like, what do you, excuse me, it doesn't say, God, what signs are you giving me now? The person says, what is the system trying to tell me? So if you're secular, you have a relationship with the system. You don't have a relationship with the system admin. Okay. Now, how you contextualize the system leads to the notion of the system admin. Okay. It's like saying you can't create yourself. If you can't create yourself, how can you assume the cosmos created itself? Do you understand? It's designed, folks. It's designed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was a pool of energy down. It has unique shape, and it has design that accounts for itself. Okay? That means it's like it's too well designed, this world. Okay? That's I don't want to say that's the issue, but for someone who's wondering about reality, that is an issue. Why is it so designed? Why are the systems so like excellent? They're not perfect, but they're excellent. Do you know what I mean? That means, like, when I was young, I thought surgeons were psychopaths, but then I realized, no, these guys are fascinated by how amazing this system is. Do you understand? That means if you lack fascination, you cannot. It's fascination is one of the greatest blessings in life. Do you know? I am always way more impressed by, like, how do I say it? What I become like when fascinate. I have an OCD fascination. Okay, I have an obsessive compulsive fascination with, why am I here? Why is this here? Why is everything here? And I've got some answers to these, but the answers are not enough, because whatever freaking mask I put on the world and define it, it's changing. But the question is, so I'm telling you, like, if you want to see who's a true scholar, there's scholars who treat reality as nouns, and then there's scholars who, I think the smartest people on the planet, actually they are too busy looking at how vast and unknown this system is. Do you understand what I mean? Like, for human intelligence, it's like they gave you the greatest problem to solve: existence itself. Now, not a lot of human beings go there, and it's not meant for all human beings to wonder this deeply, I think. The reason is because you have to confront chaos. That means if somebody says, "All right, Mr. Within, are there no consequences to you thinking deeply all the time?" And I'll be like, "There is, but it's I see it as kind of like how Goku was trying to go Super Saiyan, right? But it's not. I am accepting the values to what reality means, but at the same time, if I am a limited technology, and I'm accepting limited answers. See, people didn't realize this, but the reason religion is very advanced, that means people are like, "Yo, man, religious people were so simple. How can you say they were advanced?" Because you think advancement is just in the outer realms. Advancement is in your acknowledgement of what is really happening here. Do you understand? And your life is your relationship with all of it. And it's very beautiful because certain aspects of it you can consciously manage, but then you got to get comfortable staring at the unknown. I'm going to tell the viewers something that shaped my psyche. In my youth, I was shy, I was introverted, and I didn't value myself. And because I kind of people treated me like they didn't really care for me, I didn't really care for myself either. Not in a unhealthy way. Like, I was still healthy, very healthy, before any intoxicants or anything ever enter my life, right? But the thing was that I felt exiled from an ability to be a person around other people when I was young. And this exile made me notice something different. Do you understand what I mean? That means it's like you got kicked out of a classroom, but then you noticed what's outside of the classroom. Do you understand what I'm saying? And for me, I reached this point where I realized, wait a minute, life is not like a Lord of the Rings style, one ring to rule them all. Everybody has to be cloned into one viewpoint. No, the system admin intentionally designed every user with a unique DNA. So we're not here per se to just come into one final agreement on everything, which is what scientists think. See, when science lacks philosophy, it will come up with concepts that it can't actually contextualize. For me, all these specialized roles of like, yo, that dude is a philosopher, that dude is a scientist, every person has to wonder about the context of meaning, but the context of reality is evolving as we are. So in my youth, by being rejected from normality, I began to wonder what else is there. Do you understand? And there was a time when I was young that if somebody told me like, "Yo, man, you're weird," right? I'd be like offended, right? I'd be like, "Shut up, you're weird." I'd be like that. But then, but then I reached a point where I was like, "God, have you blessed me in being able to see another way?" You don't understand. You as a human being have as supreme value to how no one else has your eyes. Do you know? For me, there came a moment where I was like, how is everybody on the planet not a writer? All you have to do is be honest and you become one of the greatest writers in history. Do you understand? Because you see that which no one else can. But at the same time, you're a sociocultural conditioned entity. You see, I'm that human being who's like, okay, if I'm going to be a candle, okay, in this world, if we're all candles, we better shine properly. And my, if somebody's like Mr. Within, I mean, not Mr. Within, if you just ask me, guys, imagine one day in the future, I'm going to be on top of a train and recording a podcast. Anyways, where I'm going with this, folks, is that if they ask me, why are you still in on Earth? Let's say I had a chance to leave. Let's say I had a chance to dissolve into like truth and leave or something. I would, the reason I am still, I think, around, okay, the reason I think why I'm still, because guys, you don't understand. Last year, I got hit by a car, and I don't know how I came unscathed. Okay, like if I, like, you don't understand. And I, after that moment, I was like, God, are you keeping me around for a reason that I cannot reason? So to me, there's been moments in my life where I should have stopped existing, and somehow I'm still here. Okay. And when I wonder, okay, why? It's because, this might sound strange, but if you realize you're a melting candle and you're giving off some light, you have consciousness before you die. You need to use this consciousness, yo. Like, you got to use it. Okay? And human beings, they don't think about how to use it, they're told how to use it. But you got to wonder about eyes that you're meeting for the first time, your own. You know, this is what I didn't understand. You know, I'll tell you this. When I was younger, there would be situations, like, imagine the teacher's like, hey kids, do you have a question? And I had fucking questions, but I wouldn't raise my hand up. I was too shy. But the reason, years later, you know, I, like a time traveler looking at my own mistakes, I was like, man, the only thing you didn't realize when you were a young kid growing up in this world was that you were also new. You were a character in the story. So, ladies and gentlemen, and especially young people, you don't know your value. And when you're young, you're trying to get it from outside of you, and it could fuck you up. Sorry for being rude. But I'm going to tell you this, that when you realize, even as a secular person, I'll inspire you, and then I'll inspire you as a religious person as I am. It took you 4.5 billion years of evolution, okay, from the earth, and 13.8 billion years from the beginning of the Big Bang for you to be this person now. You have been, according to a secular viewpoint, 13.8 billion years in the making, and now you have arrived and you're shy. It's as if, like, how dare the species be shy? We evolved to be this. We evolved. We not only, all human beings, according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you deserve to be here. You also deserve to be treated as the most advanced being that you are capable of being. That means the past judged you based on your failure. The future is going to be like, what have I been doing? Not realize, like, stationing greatness as if it's a past ideal I'm trying to get. Greatness is our future right now. That means, do you know, I have an incredible, you don't understand, the prophets, to me, peace be upon them all, were like advanced beings. There was even a time before now that I thought religion was a time travel intervention. When they said it was because religion is acting legit like something a time traveler would do, but it's not. It's so far beyond time. That means the Holy Quran has a passage that explains time travel back then. It gives me goosebumps to even think about it. Okay, I'm gonna read this for you. Okay, so this verse that I'm referring to in the Holy Quran, okay, it's I believe from the Surah Al-Kahf, verse 9 to 26. So so it says the verse you're referring to is most likely about the people of the cave. Ashab al-Kahf, a story in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, verse 926 again. These verses describe a group of young believers who sought refuge in a cave and were made to sleep for many years, waking up much later unaware of how much time had passed. This is perhaps the closest Quranic narrative to the concept of time travel, in the sense that these individuals skip through time by divine command. So, guys, divinity is superior to sci-fi. It's superior to time travel. It's superior to what happens in the simulation. Okay, so it says in the sense that these individuals skip through time by divine command, remaining biologically suspended while centuries passed outside. So what is the verse? So Surah Al-Kahf 18:25, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And they remained in their cave for 300 years and exceeded by 9. Another key verse in Surah Al-Kahf 18:18, you would have thought them awake though they were asleep, and we turned them to the right and to the left. Wow. So here's a deeper interpretation. This story suggests that time is relative and that God has control over time in ways that transcend human understanding. In modern language, we might call this a form of suspended animation or biological time dilation, ideas that overlap with science fiction notions of time travel. The sleepers woke up in a future that had changed, mirroring the feeling of a time traveler arriving in a new era. So, guys, even time travelers there are will realize the beauty of Islam. That in at what age was it pointing to time travel? At what age, when there were camels in the desert? You don't understand. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him, was it makes me emotional. Was such an advanced being that in the Holy Quran, it says this book is a warning and a confirmation for and if I remember correctly, and a confirmation and sorry, this book is a warning and glad tidings for those who believe. Because you don't know, in the Holy Quran it says this is a book for those who believe in the unseen. It is a book for souls. It is not a book for minds. Okay? And it acknowledges the value of previous holy books as well. But the thing about Islam is that it has reached the epistemological epitome, which is the idea that God is beyond the simulation, which was Abraham's. You don't understand. To me, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, finalized what Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, started. Okay? And if there are Christians listening to this, not only do Muslims acknowledge Christ as a prophet, that means above all, like normal Muslims. You know, it's advanced as an advanced being in the sense of God's attention, right? That means what you see is the idea of a prophet is actually the relaying, is the prophet is a messenger of the higher reality, okay, of the divine. Now, Muslims believe that Christ was a prophet, and they don't believe Christ was God because they cannot worship anything in the simulation. Nothing but God is worthy of worship, okay? And at the same time, they believe that Christ will come back at the end of days when the horn is blown and the sky of the simulation starts to crack, starts to break, when the sky starts to break. People are going to realize Islam is pointing to how we need to align our attention to the realization that if we're in a box, that which is outside of the box is beyond it. You don't understand. For me, all of life translates as I'm a simulated being, and I have some sort of connection with the original, as all human beings do. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, uh, I created mankind and jinn kind for the sole purpose of worshiping me. Now, people may think worship is a physical exercise, but it is not just a physical activity. Worship is reverence, and it's as if like saying, is a peasant going in front of a king just a physical exercise? No. And if you look at it in Islam, why do Muslims wash their face, 15 times a day? And why do they have moments where they, in some sense, try to purify themselves, their hearts, and put away their egos like shoes outside of the mosque, and they enter the presence of the higher power? All are equal. As a Muslim, at the age of 14, my parents took me to Mecca, me and my twin brother, okay? And my mother gave me and my twin brother like dates, like, the fruit, I guess, dates. And me and my brother went and gave it to all those people who were like brooming the floor of the place, right? And then this person from there came from the office and gave me and my brother these two red um, Qurans, which had like Farsi translation, but the guy didn't know that me and my brother can't read Farsi. I mean, I can now, but at the time. Anyways, when I went to Mecca, it was a place where egos were not allowed to enter because the heart broke down in shame of now it has an opportunity to be sincere in the higher power, in front of the higher power. You see? Because where Muslims pray to is Mecca, and Mecca, if I remember correctly, was built by Abraham. That building you're seeing there, the cube structure, architecture, it is an empty room where idols used to be. And it's not there that people are worshiping the Kaaba. They're not worshiping that box. They're worshiping what that box signifies. In the same way, Prophet Abraham in the Holy Quran, I don't remember it exactly, but because I'm a visual thinker, I'm visually going to relay it. Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, one of the greatest beings, humans ever. Prophet Abraham goes to his father and says, Father, why are you worshiping idols? He's trying to wake up his father, okay, from the simulation that objects are truth. And he says, God is beyond objects. It is even beyond subjects. But Abraham, I don't think, could have said it then, you know? And so he looked at his father and he said, Why are you worshiping an object, Dad? And his father said, son, are you kidding? Your forefathers worshipped these idols. And guys, again, I'm sorry I don't remember the exact verses verbatim, but I am saying this with utter honor for Prophet Abraham. And he goes and he tells his father, you're worshiping your ignorance. He wakes in some sense, Prophet Abraham had faith in the more advanced reality of life. Like, you don't understand. The prophets are out of all the human beings that have been alive on the planet. You don't understand. It's like to remember them is not to remember a person, it is to get closer to the divine command. So, in my view, this world is giving some clues about the human design. Aside from the Holy Quran, if you look at life, you'll be like, wait a minute, it's too big for us. The world is too big for us. And we are here for such a short time. But why is it that they say what separates man from animal, like the human intelligence from animal intelligence, is that we are aware we are aware. And we're also aware that we are mortal, we're temporary. That means if you might look at your dog and your dog might not know that it's going to die. You know what I mean? Or maybe somehow, I don't know. I haven't been a pet owner, but I'm just saying they don't have humanized concepts, right? There was this, I remember watching this video, this dog owner. What's up, guys? Welcome to the chat. Um, in modern terms, what's up, chat? You know, anyways, I got a lot to learn, I guess, from Twitch streamers. You know, that's a universe I haven't entered. But anyways, going back to this, guys, the whole point of it is that we are here for a limited time. Your energy levels as a human being is like a bell curve. And all those people waiting to do things, your energy levels are going to be different. You know, and I know that AI is going to come and replace it. A giant market is the area above the bell curve. Okay. You don't understand. Like, we need advanced AI technologies to take care of children, and we need advanced AI technologies to help senior people. And in the middle, do you know, where there's enough energy to do things, humanity must do the most important things quickly before every person gets old, right? And sometimes when I envision an advanced civilization, it's not that people are all working to succeed in the future. What the F? It's as if we stabilize. That means it's as if we quickly get human beings into what I want to say. How do I explain it to you? Um, Not only are you a physical entity, you're a psychological entity. Now, your psychological ability to communicate, express, and do things is also it dependent on, to some degree, your physiology. Okay, it is true that there's been some nights where I've been tired, and then I was like, but the ideas are in my mind in this way only tonight. I don't know if next time I'm going to come and talk about this idea, what the ideas are going to look like, right? So what my inner realms is going to look like, right? So I've been super tired, and then I was like, but it must be done, and it's just I've had that attitude, and I've just gone into it, just like how you look at a jacuzzi. after stepping out of a swimming pool, and you could just have so many emotions, try to put your feet little bit by little, or you can just treat it, be like, okay, I'm gonna let my mind treat it as if it's there's no issue, and you just go sit in the jacuzzi at once, you know and the sooner you do it, like the buffalo that runs through the storm, doesn't get chased by fear, but the cows running away from the storm are like freaking out. And guys, buffaloes, like the ego of wildlife is insane. Like there's people, do you know what I mean? Like, right now it's so hilarious in human history, right? In human culture, they're like, yo man, that influencer, that person, that celebrity is an alpha male, right? And I'll be like, guys, what are we saying? Put this alpha male in a cage with a gorilla, and you'll see that no alpha male is alpha, because the world has higher powers. It's a higher power hierarchy. You just identify with aspects of it. Do you know what I mean? That means it's like, yo, man, I don't know. I mean, that person, knows taekwondo, knows Brazilian jiu-jitsu, yeah, can like punch and break like trees or something, or like Muay Thai, or has like next level reflexes like Wing Chun. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, yo man, you put that martial artist in front of a lion, and that martial artist is not going to go into like kata one, kata two. That the martial artist is going to be like, why the f am I here? I accept defeat. I'm going to run away from this unreasonable animal. Do you understand? Because animals, they're kind of like limited programs that don't notice themselves, and human interaction makes them notice. Like I saw this girl in a video online, kind of like, like pet a squirrel for the first time, and the squirrel was shocked. The squirrel just grabbed the kid's finger and put it on its head, like as if it had never experienced, it had never been aware of itself differently than how the environment was forcing it to behave. Do you understand? And so when I started these talks, I didn't realize it, but years later, I realized what I was doing was this shy, introverted soul had decided to roar at epistemic entropy. That means, like, my when I look at the value of what I've been doing, is that I've just been like, yo, people suffer, but usually people are suffering based on one viewpoint. But if we realize, just like you can hold an object from different views, you can hold subjects from different views, you suddenly see knowledge is becomes a completely different thing, when there could be different concepts to one context, and there could be different contexts to one concept, but there could also be infinite concepts and infinite contexts, and in endless correlations. So at some point, your mind as a scholar in this world will begin to realize it has an ability to access infinity, but not in the sense of a visual. That means I can imagine like two birds, three birds. If somebody's like, hey, Mr. Within, can you imagine like infinite birds? I'd be like, okay, so you're telling me to imagine a sky made of birds, pretty much. You know what I mean? But it's like, I cannot, after some point, my visual capabilities in the inner realm, they shy out. Like, not they shy out, they stop. They don't stop. It's like I can't see further, but then emotionally I can still see further. Do you know what I mean? For me, sometimes I treat my life as if, like, okay, you don't know who you are, but obviously it's an exploration event. And so man has to explore reality, and suddenly, you know what the greatest feeling is? The worst feeling is when the rug gets pulled underneath from your feet. The greatest feeling is when you pull the rug from underneath your feet. You just step aside from the rug and pull the rug away, and you begin to see that your past perceptions were convincing you your future can only be in certain ways. Who says? Do you know? Like, like, if you want to know what the most advanced being is, the most advanced being is not like, I know everything, guys. That's not the most advanced. The most advanced being is like, guys, I've understood that what I don't know is way more interesting than what I know. So for me, knowledge is not something I'm like accumulating in some sort of photographic memory archive. I am living. I am, like, to me, I don't know. I live way faster in my mind than I live outside. Okay. I don't know how to say it. I can move way faster Do you know that means if I was to visualize, like legit, if I was to imagine like a racetrack, like a running track, and imagine myself like about to run, and I'm sitting in my car imagining this, in my mind, I don't have to freaking even run. I can teleport to the end of the line in my inner realms. But in the outer realms, I can't. I gotta actually run, and my asthma attack's probably gonna hit up. You know, it's like, yo, man, you know, guys, you don't understand. I had when I was young, I wanted to be a soccer player. And when I got the soccer ball, nobody would get it. I would be in school and three people would try to get the soccer ball from me, and I had to, because the teacher like would just give one ball like a psycho. And it was one of those situations where I had to realize an awareness to the space. Like, people didn't understand that when I would go home, we had this hallway in our house, and I would put these chairs. Sorry, guys, I'm getting personal, but I thought I'd share it. You know, I would put these chairs all in the hallway, and I would run across that hallway like so fast, do you know, and dribble the ball between the chairs. And I had to make sure I would dribble the ball without my shins, like, hitting the chairs. You don't understand. A person can train. Whoever you are, like, training is the most important thing in life. But you train in accordance to the battle you want to enter, or the field of advancement you want to go through. So, anyways, going back to this, guys, I kind of went on a tangent, but anyways, I'm ultimately saying that it's not that I don't care about science. It's not that I don't listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson podcasts a lot, right? It's just that for me, it's too big. That means there is endless ways that it can have meaning. Like, think of it this way: every human being that has ever been born in the world, walked in it, and looked at it, has had a human perception. They have had a human view on life. Do you know? The advancement of civilization beyond, the death of truth. That means I want to advance human civilization. I believe that the future generations deserve our most advanced and incredible effort. And to be an advanced human being means to be advanced in all human dimensions. So you must have an advanced relationship. And what that means is that you need to find the core of the value that moves you as a being. For me, I'm a futurist. Everything else in life is boring. Everybody in 2025 is boring. Everything in the past is boring. Even though I don't know everything in the past and everything that's happened in 2025, but it's boring. Because behind our eyes, we have learned to move faster. Do you know, it's so strange? Behind my eyes, I have lived endless lives, like so many different lives, just by having different emotions. Like, I've been walking, let's say I'm just walking and I see someone, I see this beautiful woman, and my mind starts like freaking being a novelist. Do you know what I mean? So I've seen so many ways that my mind has forged itself, that I have, found a comfort with the hammer in my hand. And what I mean by this is that a human being needs to align themselves to their greatest value. What survival of the fittest was, what adaptation actually meant, was that it was the best understanding of the entity that allowed its continuity. So there is something about those who understood the situation got to survive, and those who didn't understand the situation didn't. Now, it's the same with our species. If we don't understand the situation of the species, then it would be so lame. Like, I don't understand even how leaders can start wars now. I really don't understand how political leaders can start wars now. Let me tell you why. Because what the f do you want to be known for? Like when you got to look at the human species, that it's done the best it can, so you can't judge the past. Like a person can try to judge the past, right? But then the past will just look at you and it's like, hey man, I did the best I can with what I had. So you can't judge the past, you can't judge why the system's messed up now, okay? But because you're an active agency, that's what consciousness is. Consciousness is an ability to be an agent of change in a world that's already changing in sophisticated ways before you, and it has been contextualized in deeper ways before you. That means I'm not standing here thinking I'm the most advanced human being on earth. Do you know, like when it, like you know, there's been mornings I've tried to make an omelet, and I'm like, someone in Japan can do this more advanced than me. But that means the possibility of making an advanced omelet is there. And you don't understand what faith means is that the possibility of greatness is there. Because for me, the point of heaven is to meet God. If they tell me, do you care about like transcendental real estate in heaven? I'll be like, no, because the system admin is not just form. That means for me, I'm like, I don't want to say like I believe that the system admin knows everything, knows what's in my heart and what needs to happen, and what is meant to happen will happen. You know, I have this view. For me, I don't believe in karma anymore. I believe that it's everything is at the mercy of a system admin. A person could be like, why am I unlucky, right? And they'll be like, I've just been a good person. And some spiritual people come and say, your past lives, bro. No, guys, no. It's that when we wonder about how events take place in reality, we are wondering about what is putting that value there. Okay. And for me, the greatest thing a human being can do is to not just notice there is simulation in a simulation, to notice that the simulation cannot exist without the original first. You know, in certain my lectures and my writings, even in my novels, I've talked about the original earth, do you know, and the original world. And what evolution is simulations, like an original like memory returning back. Like it's bizarre, just like how sperm, like this is ridiculous. I shouldn't humanize this. What I'm saying is that it's an intelligent event, and its intelligence is not just based on man's free will, because man's free will is based on the measured variables, the conscious variables, and there are unconscious variables. Like let me explain to you the hollowness of logic, the limitation of logic. Why is logic not enough? Okay. Why logic debunks itself. Okay. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't be logical. I'm just saying, philosophically speaking, the depth of its context. So imagine I'm in a room and there's like, let's say I'm at a house party or something. Or let me say it this way. Imagine someone invites me to this party. I go there and there, or let me say it differently. Let's say my parents and brother come over. Okay. Okay. How do I say it? I'm just trying to say that if I was in a room with like four people, like with three people, okay, and I wanted to order a pizza, okay, I would be on the phone and the person would be like, okay, let me, it's like as if I order one large pizza for four people. And right before the lady says, is that your final order? I will say, suddenly four other people enter the room. So the logic of the situation, now the logical answer is to get two pizzas, not one pizza. Do you understand? So the logic changed by the entrance of an unknown variable that we became conscious of. So logic is just what you're doing to get by. What's going on here is way more, I use the term fascinating. It's way more deeper than what we think. Anyways, thank you for listening. There's so much more to say, but I will end this talk here. This talk was also to let people know that it's time to usher civilization. Like like I'm trying to get everybody to identify, with who they see in the mirror, a member of the human species. I'm trying to bring forth speciesism that is post transnationalism. Do you understand? That is post nationalism. That means right now we're identifying with our memories, like our own backstory, and also the land we're located in. But we actually are a human species, just like you have the mineral kingdom, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom. We have the human kingdom, right? And the human species. Do you understand? Right, so for me, I'm like, why are we all acting like the planet's fragmented psyche and being separated in nations? Can we make all nations sub-nations of this unified nation called the nation of humanity, and the borders of the nation of humanity is the human species? Do you understand? It's the species. The species, that means it's like, to it being human is the value that all governance needs to be built around, not in regards to, do you understand? See, it's like right now we're living in a civilization where certain individuals care more about their own future than the future of the species. But that's the most foolish thing, because it doesn't make sense. Because what kind of hell do you want to give your grandchildren? Do you know what I mean? That means like I don't understand why the most powerful people on the planet are not advancing civilization quickly. In earlier talks, I even brought this argument, guys, where I said that when you look at, like, for me, I was like, yo, all the good beings in the world, all the bad beings in the world, stop fighting. Like, may chaos and order stop their endless dance for one moment, and build an advanced civilization, and then and be as good and evil as you want. You understand? But first build the advanced civilization, and then in an advanced way experience your life. That's the argument. We want to advance ourselves. It's like level 1, advance yourself. Level 2, advance your species. Level 3, advance your world. Level 4, return to the most advanced, the systematic. Anyways, guys, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, which means all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. That means you don't understand what Islam means. Islam is not an idea. It's as if all my cells, all the atoms, were Muslim before I was like, okay, I'm a Muslim. Do you know why? Because it's the idea of the simulated in the presence of the original not being limited to the simulated. To notice that, and through God's will, everything happens. I am in no way assuming humanity is in the driver's seat of its legacy, but it can be like, we were created by the most advanced, therefore we are technically God created design. Do you understand? That means we are beyond this world like designed intelligence. Anyways, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent and the most merciful. A'udhu billah shaitan rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and from unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. All existence returns to the original. The simulation returns to the original. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Everything is looking at the Lord of the worlds. Astaghfirullah. Anyways, Rabbi Firli, my Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive my species for all the sins that it is conscious and unconscious of, and bless it with the most advanced. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced return us to the most advanced in the most advanced way. Subhanallah.